They say silver is the most undervalued metal. They say it has more utility than gold, more upside than stocks, and gets more love from the average stacker. But can we hit a pause for a second? Because if you're going to make your investment case using the gold to silver ratio, then I need to ask, why aren't you using the silver to platinum ratio too? We all love silver and look forward to silver outperforming gold. But one of the biggest arguments I hear on YouTube is silver should explode because the gold to silver ratio is sitting at 93 to 1. We also hear people referencing the industrial uses of silver as reason for even more bullishness. Now, can we just have a real conversation between us friends? No hype or tribalism. This isn't about being a fanboy or girl, just about the facts. It's not about which is your favorite metal, it's about your financial outcomes. We've entered a precious metals bull market. That's clear. This means we have to ask ourselves different questions like which metal is going to help me reach my goals the fastest? What's undervalued, unloved, and out of place? Far too often, we frame the role of metals as preserving wealth and purchasing power. But my goal with this channel is to help you shift from seeing your metals as a protector of your purchasing power or insurance against the zombies. Instead, I want us to begin seeing metals as an asset that grows your wealth. For the last 25 years, gold has outperformed the S&P 500. Gold has grown 10 times, while the S&P has only grown 4.34%. But that's not discussed in the mainstream financial news. So let's stop treating our metals like collectibles and let's start using them like a wealth building portfolio. Let's have a real conversation about which monetary metals are going to help you grow your wealth the fastest. It might just be the one you've been ignoring. Platinum. What is good, Stackers University? It is so wonderful to have you here with me today. Let's talk silver, but let's really talk platinum. If you've ever used the gold to silver ratio as a reason to stack more silver, then think about this for a moment. If silver is undervalued compared to gold, as we can see from this chart, and as this chart shows, platinum is undervalued compared to gold, well, what's the relationship between silver and platinum? Well, that's potentially a $3,000 question we need to answer. Well, look at this chart of the ratio between platinum and silver. Now, don't get mad at me, get mad at the facts. The ratio currently sits at 35 to 1, meaning it takes you 35 ounces to get 1 ounce of platinum. Historically, that ratio has been 150 to 1 back in 2004. And the historical average is around 79 to 1. Simple math tells us that no matter what silver does, platinum has to double silver's move in order for the ratio to increase back to the average. That has to mean platinum is the most undervalued compared to silver. Just for proper context, that's still with platinum being up 39% this year and silver being up 24% and gold up 13%. It took a 40% spike off the bottom for anyone to really start talking about platinum. If you've been around for a while, you know that I've done at least 3 deep dive videos into platinum, making the case that it was incredibly underpriced at $900 an ounce compared to silver. And like normal, the knee-jerk reaction from some was to argue with me. Please don't think this is a flex or a victory lap of any sort. It's simply to point out that we can't fall in love with our metals. We have to divorce ourselves from those emotions and let the logic drive our decision making. I've talked you through all of this because the next logical question for me really centers around whether or not platinum is still a buy. In fact, I'll let you in on a little secret. My plan was to swap the 90 ounces I earned from my silver bond for 3 ounces of platinum because at that time the ratio was around 32 to 1. Then, of course, platinum took off and hasn't stopped moving long enough for me to feel like there's a great buying opportunity. But here's the kicker. If you look at this chart from 2022, even at today's price of $1,276, platinum is barely breaking even for most producers as mine costs have increased a decent amount. In 2023, all-in costs were estimated between $1,050 and $1,150. That means this price move wasn't even about miners becoming like really profitable. It was about whether or not they could survive. I mean, you can't exactly make up your losses by selling more platinum at a loss. Miners have been operating at a loss for years, and all this rally did was really get them back to slightly above zero. That tells me platinum is still undervalued. In my previous videos, I didn't tell you to go all in. I didn't go all in myself. I told you you needed 2 to 3 ounces just to get some exposure and to diversify. Why? Because the silver to platinum ratio was screaming. And if that ratio ever returned to historic norms, you'd be smiling from ear to ear. Worst case scenario, You'd have to sit on some metals for a few years because the selling price was below the mining cost. But here's the real lesson. Just because a ratio is at extreme doesn't mean it has to revert back to the average, and it definitely doesn't tell you when it will happen. The platinum trade wasn't just about ratios to gold and silver, it was about the fundamentals, just like the gold to silver ratio. Unfortunately, this was being drowned out because of the silver hypers had everyone focused on their screams about EV cars are coming, catalytic converters are dead, which had many people assuming platinum's best days were behind it. And I'm not saying it's going to go back to where it was before, being worth more than gold, but we know it can't stay where it is. But reality has a way of humbling narratives. Internal combustion engines aren't going away overnight. Hybrid vehicles still need catalytic converters, and platinum still plays a role, especially in markets like China and India. There's still all the potential of hydrogen fuel cells as well. So now what? What if you missed the move from $900 and you still want to get in? First, cool your jets. Don't chase a shooting star. Wait for the pullback. Markets retrace always. If it goes straight up like a light bulb, it's going to come straight right back down. So let's pretend today's high is the top. What I would do is use a Fibonacci retracement as my guide. Look for the 38.2, the 50%, or 61.8% retracement zones, and that's where you begin to potentially buy. Second, if I warn you about silver in a recession, I absolutely have to warn you about platinum. Platinum is cyclical and highly industrial. If a recession hits hard, auto sales tank, and platinum tanks with it. This may be just a situation where your patient will have to be rewarded. Third, if you're like me and the premiums make you want to punch your LCS in the face, skip the physical. Just buy one of the physical ETFs. Remember, we're not out here trying to collect all the coins like Pokemon cards. We're trying to make money. You only need exposure to the price movement when it comes to platinum. It's not like gold or silver where you need to have some in your physical possession. You just need to be in something that will allow you to catch the beta price movement. And if you can handle a little more risk or you want some more torque compared to the price movement, go and get you some shares of Sabanya, Anglo, or Impala. With higher prices, that now means they're profitable and these companies should be doing a lot better. Of course, as a doctor, that's not your doctor. That's not financial or health advice. No matter what, I think you have to get in the game. Now, here's the part that might offend you, silver stackers, and you're just really bother you to your soul. I've hinted at this, but if you got a good amount of physical silver and you're holding silver and believe in the gold to silver ratio as a tool to rotate into gold, I'm not sure how the silver to platinum chart doesn't make you want to go down and see your LCS as well. I know the idea of trading in your silver for platinum, it's almost like me telling you to go French kiss your sister. Yeah, I said it. I know it sounds nasty and weird, but hey, it just might be the smartest move you made all year. I think it's safe to say you can't just sit there with your thumb in a dark, sneaky hole waiting for someone else to do the thinking for you. Get a plan, work your plan. You're the CIO of you incorporated. Bull markets are not a dime a dozen, and you might see one more if you're lucky. Don't throw away your shot. So, what's next for platinum? Supply is tight. We've seen several years of real deficit. Above ground inventories are being drained, unlike silver, where there is around 6 billion ounces above ground. Investor demand is still tight, which means you can still front run the herd. But if we get a hard recession, platinum could dip hard. That's the risk. That's the game. But the beauty is you're still buying right around the cost to mine. So with enough time, things will eventually change. Just don't be the person who looks back 2 years from now saying, man, I knew I should have. In the comments, do you own platinum? If so, how much did you own before you had your boating accident? If there's a significant pullback, would you be a buyer? Would you trade your silver for platinum? Or just simply put an A plus in the comments if you received any value, want to support this channel, or just want people to know that you always stack smarter and never stop learning.